Welcome to the August Back to School edition of Texarkana Magazine. We are focusing on the unity and educational excellence in our community from the perspectives of the superintendents from Texarkana Arkansas School District, Texarkana Independent School District, Liberty-Eylau, and Pleasant Grove. This is Ronnie Thompson with Liberty-Eylau Independent School District. Where did you grow up, and what was the school like in your hometown?
Growing up was a little bit different for me because in grade school, my dad was actually Air Force, he was military, so we had the opportunity to live overseas in Turkey. So I actually went to grade school in kindergarten through second grade in Turkey and got to experience a lot over there, and actually that's where I learned to swim. And so I actually learned to swim in the Mediterranean. So
not many people can say that.
No.
Especially around here.
So those things I remember, those life experiences, even when I was that young, just stuck with me, being in a different culture and learning about different cultures at that time. It was a good experience. And then from there, we came back to the States and lived in the San Antonio area. He was stationed at Lackland Air Force Base. So I went to grade school, like third grade, on to like fifth or sixth grade over there, some middle school. And then we moved to the northeast side of town where I finished up my high school career at James Madison High School. So,
okay.
But so mostly in the San Antonio area, mixed in with a little bit of travel.
Turkey.
Yeah, Turkey.
Overseas. What is your favorite school memory in elementary school?
This is embarrassing, but I'll have to say it's me and a couple of buddies got together one day and we decided to skip school. And I'm trying to think if I was like fourth grade, maybe fifth grade at the time, I don't know. The odd thing was, I think we picked the coldest day of the year to skip school on. So it really ended up not being fun because we were freezing. We were out in the woods, and we just thought we'd hang out in the woods all day and play and not get caught. Of course, we got caught and froze. And so anyway, yeah, that was a good memory. Good.
Memorable. Maybe not a good one, but memorable.
Yeah, but I learned my lesson quick when I had to visit the principal's office the next day.
What about high school?
High school was great. If I could go back at any time, high school were the days that I didn't have to worry about anything. But probably the biggest memory for me was an experience that I had in a marine science class where our teacher actually took us on a field trip to A&M at Galveston. And so that just piqued my interest even more in ocean life and that kind of thing. So we got to visit the university there and got to experience dorm life. We lived in the dorms. It was close to summer when we went, so there wasn't any other students there, but we got to see the research that they were working on. Got to go out on a boat, catch crabs and different types of marine life and examine them, and got to kind of feel the culture of that experience.
Well, was there a teacher or mentor who influenced you in those formative years?
My coaches in high school were always obviously shape us as they do today, but I think that marine science teacher, Miss West, was probably the key to turning that love for learning for me on, I guess, was that teacher there, because just, again, bringing us on that field trip, but also just making it fun. The way she taught, you wanted to learn more about what was going on in the ocean.
Well, tell me about the path to your current position as superintendent.
Crazy path, because that wasn't what I went to school for.
Okay, what did you go to school for?
I was originally a marine science major when I got out of high school and went to college, but as most people do, I changed majors after about 2 years, went into the business side, and I was business management major when I graduated from A&M. And then from there, I took a job in the Dallas area, and I was actually managing cafeterias. White's Cafeteria is who I went to work for there. Those experiences, I think, helped me in my current job. But when I decided to get married, my wife is from Texarkana, and so we decided to live here. And so when I moved here, she started teaching, graduated from Liberty-Eylau High School, is still teaching there today, loves it, best English teacher around. And but we decided to live here, and the principal at the time was Don Rader. And I think everybody remembers Don Rader. He was an icon in the Liberty-Eylau community. And my wife would always help out with student council events, and I would go with her and just kind of tag along. And then one day he asked me, what do you think about teaching? And I said, well, I never thought about it. So I said, I don't know, what are you talking about? And so he introduced me to the DECA program, the Kids at Work Half a Day, and that obviously that teaching field was marketing, so it kind of fit with what I had with my college background. He had a teacher that was getting ready to retire, and so he asked me what I thought, about moving into that position. So I looked into it, and I told him, I was interested, and from there, got into education, taught there 7 years, quit after 7 years, and opened up a restaurant, actually, for 3 years. Yeah, it's a surprise. So
you
again,
taught 7 years at Liberty-Eylau?
Yes.
And then,
Did a restaurant for 3.
Okay.
Went back into education and started teaching at Texas TISD. Okay. And I stayed in TISD, it's either 12 or 13 years. Worked my way up into administration there. Ended up being an assistant superintendent when I left there. And then I became superintendent at Hooks ISD for 5 years. And then the opportunity came up to come back to Liberty-Eylau as superintendent. And so I'm finishing up my 5th year as superintendent there. So
truly a crazy path. I mean,
yeah.
You were all over the place.
Yeah. But again, all of those experiences helped shape and mold me, to be, I guess, a better steward or manager of the school system.
Absolutely. Well, what are you excited about for the new year?
I would say getting back to normal as much as possible, having the activities, the social interactions. There was a lot of dances that we didn't have. There was a lot of field trips that we didn't take. Even simple trips to, elementary kids going to the pumpkin patch. I mean, we just didn't do them. And there was a lot of that happening where life kind of just shut down in school. So a lot of the social events that you get to experience as a kid, these people haven't experienced in over a year.
Well, maybe is it finding a new normal? Because no one knows what normal really is anymore.
Yeah, I think so, because although our governor, said that you can't mandate masks, so essentially they're optional. I think you'll still see a lot of people wearing it, just out of precaution, and because that's the norm. Their mom and dad, their culture, that's what they want to do, is continue to wear masks and be preventative. So I think that's going to be the new norm.
Well, describe the unique culture of your district.
Oh, wow. It's just, it's a great family atmosphere. Although we're semi-large, but we're still small enough to be family. It's still kind of a country school as well, because if you look at our district, we're about half in the city and then half rural. So we're kind of a good mix between the two. So I always like to tell people it's the best kept secret out there. So it's great.
Well, how do you ensure that your district maintains facilities that keep up with current technology and evolving needs of 21st century students?
Technology, we've worked on a lot since I've been there, and it's not so much the devices that you put in kids' hands, but it's all that infrastructure in the background that makes it work. And that's a key. And the challenge for us is, again, we're half city, half rural, is a lot of our rural kids do not have the connectivity at home. Or they might have connectivity, they don't have quality connectivity. When your internet speed is buffering because that's the best you can get, you can't watch video. You can't, there's certain things you can't watch or participate in because of your internet. So if you were going virtual education at the time, and a lot of the delivery system was through those means, our kids suffered because of connectivity. But that being said, if you're on campus, our connectivity is great. We actually switched over and built our own fiber ring. So we have like a 10 gig fiber ring. And so if you're on our facilities and in the campus, connectivity is not a problem at all. We have a lot of capacity to do what we need to do technology-wise. And of course, keeping up with devices is a challenge because technology changes so much. We always seem to find a way to continue to replace old technology. You have to have a replacement plan in place to get rid of the old and bring in the new.
Well, did COVID affect funding due to low attendance, or were there any grants or additional funds given to aid throughout the pandemic?
Funding, fortunately, was not affected because the state of Texas did what they called hold harmless funding for us. So they pretty much said whatever your attendance was and your enrollment previous pandemic, we're going to fund you on that. because they realized real quick during the pandemic that they were missing a lot of kids, that parents just didn't send them to school. And so across the whole state of Texas, I can't remember the thousands that they quoted, but there was a lot. So they knew that, so they maintained our funding level because they knew that was important during this time. And then grant-wise, there were some federal funds that flowed through the state that we were able to buy technologies with as well, but also personal protection gear or equipment that we needed to sanitize and keep our places clean. We actually got with our career and technology department, and they actually built us hand sanitizing stations, and lots of them. And they're building 30 more this summer, so when we go into next school year, we'll even have more at our campuses. But that was important because we tried to order some, and of course everybody was wanting them at the time. So they're back ordered, and you can't get them for months. So our welding teacher said, well, I think I can make those. And so he made one, and the rest is history. They just started making them for us. So there was funds to help reimburse some of that for the materials because it fell into the grant needed areas. And I want to say one of the big things I think we did during the pandemic is we made sure our kids got fed. And that was important to us because a lot of them, that's their meals for the day is when they come to school. And when that shut down, our food service department was actually still working pretty much full time. And then we would use our bus routes and we would deliver meals off of our bus routes to families that needed them. So we were delivering like breakfast and lunch, a combination of, so that we knew they would at least get fed during that time. And money's helped out with that too. Grant money's helped reimburse a lot of that, where we expended those funds there, but we'd get reimbursed later.
And those are things you don't think about as a normal person of a kid needs to come and they're going to be eating all day. So and that's the only meals, like you said, that they're going to be getting all day. That was a big challenge you had, especially being both city and rural, that you come from both. That's an additional challenge you had. What do you see as the greatest challenge moving into the new school year? And how do you plan to work towards a positive year?
I think it's easy to work for a positive year because kids are excited to get back to normal. And I've already seen that this summer because we have a lot of summer camps going on, whether it's through athletics or just summer school in general. Kids are excited to be there. So I think moving into next year, being positive, I think kids are ready to be socially active again. So from that perspective, it's going to be great. I think the biggest challenge is going to be closing those educational gaps that we've developed over since the pandemic hit. And they're big. There's some big gaps. When you have, I think we started the school year this year with about 60% face-to-face, about 40% virtual learning. By the end of the year, we're somewhere around 82% face-to-face. But even with that, I know kids that were face-to-face the entire school year, but had to be quarantined 5 and 6 times.
Right. So
they were still virtual at some point for a good length of time. And I think parents and communities realize real quick there's a difference in virtual and face-to-face education.
Absolutely.
And when you're at home, you just don't get the same thing, and there's going to be gaps. And to overcome those gaps is going to take probably a good 3 to 5 years, unfortunately, but that's reality.
That's reality.
So that's the biggest challenge we have facing us as educators moving forward.
What do you hope the school experience will be like in 20 years?
20 years. That's like futuristic. So that's kind of neat for me to think about because I like sci-fi movies. And I was watching one the other day, and I saw a guy doing his work. He was a custodian doing his work, and all of a sudden his supervisor shows up as like a what do they call him? A hologram. And was supervising him and telling him, he missed a spot here. Hey, you need to hurry up. You should be over here by now doing whatever. And I could see that in the future. I mean, 20 years ago, I can remember 20 years ago where we were with technology. And so I know where we've come in 20 years. I can't even fathom where we'll be 20 years from now. It's going to be an amazing experience for kids 20 years from now. What technology will be available at their fingertips, all the information that they will have available to them.
Well, if you could tell your students anything, what would it be?
If you have an opportunity to travel, do it, because those life experiences will help you in the future. If you can experience other cultures, other places, I think those open your eyes to the opportunities that are out there for you. That's what I would say, I guess, the most is just take advantage of those opportunities when they come along. You'll be scared, but do it anyway.
Well, Mr. Thompson, thank you so much for being with us today. We appreciate you and your time, and good luck in this new school year.
Thank you.
With the challenges of the past school year behind us, and with the talented leadership moving us forward, we have high expectations of an extraordinary year ahead.